So I just ended this video and I realized that it doesn't have an intro. So here I am. Hey y'all, welcome and or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and I am so thankful that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me, because today we have a little bit of a, what's the word? What are words? We have a little bit of a mixture of things going on in this vlog. So I read an Intrigue of Witches back probably in July, but the vlog that it was going to go in never happened. So I had all the footage and I did not want to just waste it. So you're going to see my thoughts on an Intrigue of Witches. I think it was already featured in the wrap up, but you'll just see my in-depth thoughts on it. And then we go into, there's a couple of books in this vlog: A Kingdom of Battle and A Kingdom of Blood and Betrayal, and Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, that are just books that I've read this month that didn't really fit into any other videos, and so here they are. And then we have The True Love Experiment, and I started that book in a vlog earlier this month, but I got sick and didn't get to finish it in time for the video to go out. So I have my final thoughts in that. It's just a mixture and a mess of things. So, here we are. I hope you enjoy this video, and yeah, let's just go. Okay, so I'm about 100 pages, roughly 25% into an Intrigue of Witches, and let's talk about it. So this book is about our main character. I think her name is Sydney. I'm so awful at main characters. Like, I am actively reading this book right now, and I'm not even sure if that's that girl's name. But anyway, so Sydney is a historian. She studied history. She's like a history buff. Like, that's her thing. She loves history, and she works at the Smithsonian, and she ends up making this really great grand discovery, and then she is essentially laid off, which she thinks is weird because when she makes this discovery, she's excited to, go talk about it. She has become basically the face of the Smithsonian. She's always going on news shows and videos and interviews and stuff. And when she makes this discovery, she is told not to talk about it. And I think this probably has to sign like a NDA or something like that. She can't talk about it. And then, like I said, she is laid off. So that's very weird. And she has an interesting relationship with her parents. I got beef with her parents for real. Like, they are each individually millionaires, and they would not help her as far as like money. Like, right after she got out of college, she had a hard time finding a job because, she did study history, and they would not help her, and that pisses me off. But I'm not even gonna rant on that because it would take a while. But like, trifling. Ugh. So she goes back to her college town, which is Robbinsville, North Carolina, maybe. But that is where her grandmother lives, and she has received this mysterious letter that tells her that someone has a job for her to do, and they'll pay her $1 million to do it. So she's like, look, I need something to do to pay my bills, and $1 million, yes. And so that's kind of where we are in the book. She's just now finding out about who is offering her this job, and what she's looking for. And yeah, we're just now getting into that. And I think that in the synopsis, this book is compared to National Treasure, and I 100% agree. Like, if you like the National Treasure movies, this is something that you would enjoy. It also has a lot of Black history in this book, and just general history as well. But because the main characters are Black and it's centered around this Black family, there's a lot more about that. I'm trying to figure out what I can say that's not spoilery. Just my thought, I feel like the pacing is slow. This is very slow, and I don't know if that's just a normal thing for mysteries or not, because I'm not really, I'll read a few, but ow, my back. I'm old. There we go. That's better. Better. What is better? Anyway, I am having trouble getting and it's not that I don't like the story. I think the story is very interesting. I like her characters. I just it's smooth and slow. And there's so much history packed in. And I like history, but I don't know if I like it as much as because it's so heavy in this book. I'm like, all right now, that's enough. But there's also like these games and these riddles that she's having to solve and basically go on this treasure hunt. And so that part is keeping me interested. I just don't know. I'm having an okay time. I like it enough that I, don't want a DNF, but it's slow moving and I am embarrassed that it's taking me this long to read 100 pages, but we're making our way through. I Just to give you a hint at how long it's taking me, I had to renew my library loan because I had it for, I think is it 21 days for books too? Because I got this from on Libby. Yeah, I had to renew it, and I only had gotten to 100 pages. So that's all I have to say about that. I'll be back when I have more to say. So I didn't expect to be back this quick, but here I am. And that is because I think I'm going to have to DNF this book. And it's making me really, really kind of sad. I really thought that even though this was something that was a little out of my comfort zone and a little out of what I normally read, that it had enough that interested me in the synopsis that made me think that I could still really enjoy it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it necessarily, but I guess that is what I'm trying to say. I just don't want to say that. But y'all, I was struggling. I have been reading this book for close to a month now, and I am still only 117 pages in at like 26, 27%. And I think that is telling me all that I need to know. If I'm not reaching for this book, if I'm not wanting to read this book, then maybe it's not the book for me. And I think what my issue was with this book was that it was very slow paced, like I was mentioning before. Like, it felt like we were not moving. And even when we made movements, it just didn't feel like any real progress towards plot development or anything like that. And just really annoyed me because I wanted to like this book and I was so excited to read it. But I had even thought that at the last update, I was feeling the same way, but I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna push through. We're gonna read it. We're gonna be able to make it through. But then I just, it took so much effort for me to read even 10 pages, and that's not what I want my reading experiences to be like. I want to be really interested in the book, or at least have strong feelings one way or another that makes me want to pick it up or keep going. And I just wasn't getting that from this book. I think I would still recommend this book. It just wasn't for me. And I felt myself like creeping into a slump, and I just didn't want to do that to myself. But if you are like really into history, really into these slow moving, expansive historical mysteries, um, and it is set in present ish day, but I say historical mystery because the history is heavy. It's heavy. And so, if you are into that, like I said earlier, if you really enjoy National Treasure, I think, or even maybe like the Da Vinci Code, maybe it's not religious, but you know, same kind of deal, I think. I think. Yeah, very sad about this one. Thought I was gonna love it. It just wasn't for me. But if it sounds interesting to you, I definitely think it's something that you should pick up. Okay, y'all. So I did a thing. I have finished A Kingdom of Blood and Betrayal, and the way I flew through this was ridiculous. But granted, it was under 300 pages, so I mean, I've just been in a reading mood, and when that happens, I'm just flying through things. And it also didn't hurt that this was on my Kindle, and I feel like I have just been flying through anything that I'm reading on my Kindle, so yeah, but let's talk about what I actually thought about this book. Even though I know that it is, like I just said, under 300 pages, I do not feel that a lot happened in this book. I feel like the first installment, which was, I think, A Kingdom of Stars and Shadows, that one felt like it had so much more plot and so much more happening, and there was just constantly different things going on, and this one felt a lot slower plot wise. And even though we did have some big things happen, I feel like they were definitely more spaced out, and this was more about building the relationship between Erin and Adara and what that looks like. And yeah, I can't really say too much though because of course spoilers, but I did have a good time with this. These are like short, very, very, very spicy books. So if that's not what you're looking for, then this probably won't be for you. But Holly Renee can write spice, in my opinion. She can write some smut. Her spicy scenes are, ugh, it's a fly in here, and I absolutely hate flies. And I'm trying not to freak out, but I hate anything that makes that buzzing noise. Like it just, I lose it, and I'm trying to stay calm, but it's really bothering me. Anyway, like I was saying, Holly Renee can write some spicy scenes. She's been doing it for me. This one was no different. Like I said, I wish it just progressed the plot more, but we'll see. I think there's still two more books in this series, so I'm interested to see what happens because one thing she is good at is leaving us on a big cliffhanger where you just feel like you have to immediately go into the next book because you have to figure out what happens next. Like she is also very good at that because I'm trying not to derail my whole TBR and just finish out the series, but it still might happen. Hold on to that and we'll see what happens. But so I did end up rating this a 3.5 star, which is the same as the first book. And it's just a fun, romantic, spicy time. So if that's what you're looking for, then I would definitely recommend this book and this series. So earlier this month, I posted a trying to finish my summer TBR vlog, and in that I got about halfway through this book and then I had to stop, and I just because I got sick and I was not, look, I was not feeling great at all. But I did want to give my final thoughts on this somewhere, and I thought about just putting it in the wrap up, but I wanted to talk about it, like talk about it, and not just like short wrap up thoughts. So we have The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren, and y'all, I knew it though, but I knew it because literally in the soulmate equation, Fizzy was one of my favorite characters. And I'm like, look, I knew she was gonna eat. I knew her story was gonna give. And it did. Like, I really, really, really enjoyed this book. It was cute, it was sexy, it was fun. I loved the reality show element of it. And yeah, I just had a really fun time reading this, and I ended up giving it a 4.5 star rating. And the only reason why this isn't a 5 star is because I did have a few issues with how some of the things played out in this book, and also just like some plot points, period. Because, like, while the reality show was fun and it served the purpose of our couple getting to know each other through this show, it kind of felt pointless at the end of it because of how it played out. So I'm like, we went through all of this because why? Why? And then it's so funny because I keep saying I do not like books with kids. I keep saying that I don't like books with kids or like single parent tropes. I don't like that. But I keep eating, I keep eating my words. This has a kid in it, and I didn't have any problems with it. So maybe I need to stop saying that because it's like every book that I have picked up that had a child in it, I've given it at least 4 stars. So do I really not like children in books? Or maybe it just has to be done a certain way. And I think that I usually pick up the books that make me feel like, okay, yeah, I know it has a child in it, but I think that, the way it's done will be okay. And maybe that is what I need to start saying because clearly I'm lying. I keep telling y'all, no kids, don't like kids, not like kids, but every book that has a kid in it that I've read has been 4 stars. So yeah, I probably need to not say that anymore. Anyway, I loved the relationship that Connor had with his daughter Stevie, and also the relationship that Connor had with his ex wife and Stevie's mother, Nat. And it was so cool and so good to see Jess and River and Juno again from the soulmate equation and kind of seeing how their story evolved. And gay Fizzy, she did. She did not disappoint. I love that. I was a little nervous because I wasn't sure that they were going to be able to whoa. I wasn't sure that they'd be able to keep her personality like it was and like what made me like her so much in the soulmate equation, but she was wild and she was crazy and she was funny and she was ball busting and like I had a great time. Had a great time. And now, 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 that third act breakup was laughable. It was a joke. And while it was happening, I was like, am I reading this right now? Why? But here's the thing. I'm never going to like the third act breakup. I rarely ever feel like they're done well, they're necessary, they add to the story. I'm rarely ever going to feel like that. So I don't really fault books on that because I know that it's like essentially the formula for romance books. So I can't be mad at a romance book for doing, you know, what it's supposed to do. So that also played a factor in me rating this 4.5 star. But one thing that I'm gonna always love is a man being down bad for a woman. And Connor was down bad for Fizzy, and I thought it was hilarious to watch because yes, be a simp. Yes, all the things. Be jealous. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great. And so I had a really fun time with this. I definitely suggest that, you pick this up. So that brings my total books read by Christina Lauren to 3. And I think my ranking is still the soulmate equation at 1, but this comes in at number 2. And then the Unhoneymooners that I read earlier this month. That's number 3. At this point, I am just rambling, and this is way longer than it was supposed to be. So yeah. Anyway, 4.5 stars. Just want to let you know. Yeah. Bye. Okay, y'all. So I'm about 30% into Map of the Otherlands, and let's talk about it. That feels better. Okay. So basically, in this one, we have Emily and Wendell, and they are back at, is it Oxford? Did I make that up? No, I did make it up. They are in Cambridge, and they're back at their university after the events of Encyclopedia of Fairies. And so Emily is on her next mission, and that is to put out a map of the other lands, mapping fairylands, doors to fairy, all the things like that. So while they're there, hmm, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to not spoil the first book. So I'm like, because even the synopsis on the back spoils the first book, so it's hard to know what to talk about. So basically, I'm just going to say some events start happening, and Emily, Wendell, I think his name is Rose, what is his first name? I don't know his first name, but he is the head of the department. And Emily's niece, Ariadne, who is now studying in the dryadology department. They all go on this adventure, if you will, to help Emily map out the other lands, and also to kind of prove or disprove this big mystery that is within the dryadology community, and make this big discovery. And that's really all I can say about the synopsis. I don't know how or what I'm going to do for further updates, but yeah, I am having a pretty good time with this one. Like, the banter in this one is off the charts compared to the first one. And it might just be because the first one is kind of a little far away in my memory, but Wendell and Emily are like eating each other up. And wait, that kind of sounds wrong. They are, taking shots at each other, and their banter is very funny and it's very cute. And I'm having a great time listening to them take shots at each other. I did say listening, but that's because I am doing immersive reading or tandem reading. So I'm reading along as I listen to the audiobook, and that is really helping me because, y'all, these words in this book, I'll be like, what? What are I talking about? So it helps to have someone reading it and getting the pronunciations right in my brain. And I like the accent that the audiobook narrator has. I feel like her voice is Emily's voice. Like, they did a good job at matching that up. So anyway, 25% in. No, did I say 25 or 30? It doesn't matter. I'm having a good time reading this. Let's talk about how this is my third time filming this, because my microphone, first I thought I didn't turn my microphone on. The second time I realized that it was just dying. So yeah, fun times. Anyway, let us talk about Map of the Otherlands. So I got about 188 pages into this, and so I told you that I was immersive reading this. I was listening to the audiobook as I was reading physically, and I was really enjoying my time by reading it that way. I was having a really great experience, but I had to return my audiobook loan to the library. So I'm gonna have to set this book down for now. Not even like softy and effing, but I just know that I was having such a great time with the audiobook that I don't want to try to force myself to read it without it, because if you read an Emily Wilde, you know that the words in here are like different languages, and I just don't like stumbling over those in my brain. I just I don't like that. And I really do enjoy the audiobooks. Like I said, I feel like they have the perfect person narrating this series. So, yeah, I'm just going to put it down for now. Sorry that it's not going to be finished in this vlog. I think there are about maybe 2 or 3 people ahead of me for the audiobook again. But as soon as I get it, I will be picking this back up and finishing it, because I am having a really good time with Emily and Wendell and all the things. So, sorry it's not going to be finished in this vlog, but I want to have a good time and don't want to force myself to try to physically read it when that's not what I want to do. So, sorry, not sorry. And with that being said, it is time to wrap up and close out this vlog. So, we read An Intrigue of Witches, ended up DNFing that. We then went into A Kingdom of Blood and Betrayal. I had a great time with that. Loving Erin and Adara. Like, this series is really doing it for me. And I think I gave that a 3.5. And then we went into, I talked about the True Love Experiment and how that ended up being a 4.5. And then we're about a little over halfway into Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, and I am really enjoying this. My prediction, if I had to have one, it'd probably be a 4, maybe a 4.5, depending on how it ends. But I will be sure to come back and tell you my final thoughts, just like I did with the True Love Experiment. So, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for sticking with me and liking and commenting and subscribing. And I hope you have the absolute best day that you possibly can. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.